We're talking about calls for action as domestic violence rises in D.C. This year, D.C. police tell us those cases are on the rise. Leaders are speaking out tonight about what needs to change to stop it. But local groups are worried that funding could be cut to support those victims. Our Randy Hildreth breaks down the numbers and the growing concerns.
I spoke with the executive director for the D.C. Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and there's concern about a disconnect between what was announced and what's been put on paper for the proposed city budget.
Right now, my office has filed 90 felony strangulation cases, and we are on par to file 360 before the end of the year.
An alarming data point prompting action from federal and D.C. leaders to address domestic violence.
Protecting Victims Act of 2026.
Friday, Mayor Muriel Bowser and U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro announced new domestic violence protection legislation. The proposal seeks to increase punishments for those who repeatedly violate stay away and no contact orders by making this a felony offense, and allow courts to detain alleged abusers who have a history of domestic violence. The proposed legislation was announced as local law enforcement say they're getting more domestic violence-related calls.
And although violent crime is down, domestic offenses are fueling an increase in assault with dangerous weapons, which are up 36%.
But support organizations say it's not just about enacting tougher penalties. The D.C. Coalition Against Domestic Violence says it's about layers of support, and they're raising concerns that the city is proposing cutting funding for victim services.
The mayor released her budget, and what we see in that budget for domestic violence is there's a reduction in funding going to victim services.
Executive Director Dawn Dalton says Mayor Bowser's fiscal year 2027 budget proposal reduces funding for victim services by millions, which she says could mean less staff to help survivors find housing or get legal help, or larger caseloads.
The police department is recognizing that there are more victims that are coming forward. So if there are more victims that are coming forward, how are service providers going to meet that demand when they have less funding?
She says she's pushing city leaders for additional funding before the budget is finalized. Through her organization, she'll also work with domestic violence survivors to review the new proposed legislation and give feedback. In the studio, Randy Hildreth, WUSA 9.